And the part is, like, the thing we alluded to as well is that this has wider scale ramifications. Like, this is going to affect Dynamite now because
Yeah.
one of the people involved in the infected with this. And bear in mind, Renee Young had a confirmed test. It wasn't a WWE test. This was a private test she did. So this wasn't WWE provided. She felt unwell, and as a result, got a private test done and got confirmation for COVID. Off the back of that, Moxley was tested as well, and he was tested negative. He is electing to stay at home with Renee because it's his wife, even though people suggested that he should go to a hotel. He's staying with his wife, and I understand if your wife is sick, you just don't abandon your wife. That's ludicrous. And going to a hotel.
We should also mention that Renee Young reportedly feels better now.
Yeah, she's starting to feel better now. She's not as bedridden as she was once. But you know, they wanted him to go to a hotel. People were suggesting he won't go to a hotel, but there's actually higher risks of getting COVID at a hotel as well, because there's hotel staff that interact with your bedding, with your food, and also people you interact with during the hotel itself. And so there's actually a higher risk of that there at a hotel because of higher rates of contact with individuals compared to maybe you staying at home. I think from my understanding, he's just trying to keep a safe distance at home from Renee, but is going to be there if he needs to interact with Renee, because you can't leave your sick wife by themselves. That's ludicrous, especially something like COVID that could kill you. If you have underlying symptoms or underlying ailments, it could kill you. We don't know what Renee has. She might have asthma. She might have an underlying condition. We don't know this, and it's understandable that the man wants to stay with his wife.
Yeah, Moxley is being a straight up upright, good husband, good human being for doing that. Doesn't want to endanger the other people at AEW.
But this does have ramifications. We might not have a title match in 2 weeks' time.
Right, and Fyter Fest will be taped next week, right?
Yes, there's a Orange County order that is going to shut down the state again, and so Fyter Fest will be, from my understanding, recorded. Is going. I think we have a live Dynamite next week, and then the day after is the recording of Fyter Fest for the following week. Or not live Dynamite, but a live Fyter Fest, and then a pre-recorded Fyter Fest. Sorry.
Yeah. They could do like this empty arena match kind of thing they did with Hager in 2 weeks' time. Because if you test him again in 2 weeks, or like a little bit less than 2 weeks now, and he gets a negative result, maybe it's fair to say he's safe for work. I mean, they get a production crew together to just film that one match. That's maybe a way they could get around this.
Potentially, yeah. But the problem
not on the title match, yeah.
There is wider spread issues with this overall, though. With the lockdown in Orange County, there's also been issues in relation to access to other states. So the likes of New York, where a heavy amount of AEW talent is from, is not allowing you to, if you fly from from the likes of Florida or any other states that have a high risk of coronavirus infection, you have to quarantine for 14 days upon entering New York, which means that talent might not be able to return to Florida once they come back from Florida if they fly. Now, they haven't. That's specifically flights. They haven't said anything about driving. So that possibility is that maybe they'll take that must be like a 10-hour road trip down and a 10-hour road trip up, or maybe, and this is not unheard of because I believe Tony Khan has fronted expenses for JR to stay in Florida, paid for his accommodation to stay in Florida as well. They might just put talent up in Florida to then just live in Florida for the next few weeks while they get past this. But there is a lockdown, which means they might not have access to the facility. So that's a big factor as well. And then on top of this here, they don't have their Georgia facility with QT Marshall, because QT Marshall was also precautioned to stay at home because he also had an interaction with an individual with coronavirus confirmation, and he usually has his wrestling school in Dynamite with him. He usually brings his wrestling school from every week, and you usually ever see that boisterous sound in the stands. That's actually his wrestling school most of the time. But they were told to hold back along with QT after his confirmed interaction with a coronavirus individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they don't even have their Georgia facility right now. So it's hard to say where they're going to emanate from for the next few weeks because they may have to find a new home. Maybe they'll do Atlanta because Cody's from Atlanta, and so is some of the other guys. I mean, but it's hard to say. We don't know what's going to happen. If they're smart, what they do is they go in and they done what they've done the first time for the first few weeks and just block tape like about a month's worth of dynamites. Just work solid for 4 days straight, block book a bunch of dynamites, and then just let people have like a bit of rest. Make sure your staff's okay.
Yeah.
But where they do it is well, it's hard to say where they're going to do it. I don't know.
A block taping around John Moxley not being there could be difficult. Maybe they should. What do you think about doing a interim champion storyline?
So an interim champion. So how do you?
Cage declares himself the AEW World Champion due to forfeit or something like that. Runs around like now he is the champion.
Give him a belt. Give him something to show off, and then you
Well,
have the.
not give him a belt. He brings his own belt.
What belt though?
I don't know. In kayfabe, no one at AEW gave him a belt. He brought his own and says, "I'm the champ now." He forfeited. He knew he couldn't beat me. Did you listen to Taz? He told you. He's been telling you for weeks that he couldn't beat me, that he's scared to get in the ring with me. He forfeited. I'm the champ now.
Very shades of FTR right there, or not a FTW belt right there. If you remember Taz's run with the FTW belt in ECW, he he introduced the FTW belt when Shane Douglas refused to face him for the world title, and as a result, he, if I remember correctly, introduced the FTW belt in ECW and declared himself the real world champion as well for the FTW belt. So that could work. There is a wonderful homage there to Taz through that.
Yeah, I didn't think of that when I fantasy booked this, but great connection. Thank you for bringing this up. But yeah, if you do the bulk taping like you suggested for 6 weeks or something like that, you can't not have your world champion around for another 6 weeks.
True.
Right? So you have to work around this in some way. I don't know if it's too soon for Cage to be the champion in AEW, even if it's a fake championship. But
I kind of like where you're going with it, though. I like the idea of the bravado of it all because Taz as a mouthpiece is pure bravado, right? And so I like that idea. Like you have because then you could have the AEW champion versus the real AEW World Champion, and then you have two people with two different belts holding up each other when they finally square off, and you almost have like that moment, a la John Cena, CM Punk with the two title belts as they stare each other down in the ring, and they both proclaiming to be the champion, and then you have that match at All Out.